Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We're at 1775 Northwest 8th Street here in McMinnville. We are located at the front of the house. We're to the right of the front doorway. That's as you face the front of the home from the street. That's how I describe everything. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's running, and we'll zero out the base of the clean-out access here. So anyway, here's the kind of the front walkway. Just to the right of it. This thing sticks way out of the ground. You can't miss it. 3-inch ABS clean out. That's a pretty deep sewer line here starting out. Probably dang near 4 feet deep here at the foundation wall. Kind of felt like it just belled out there. We'll get a better view. Yeah, it looks like it bumps to 4-inch right as you drop in there. It's a hard transition to see. We're gonna hit another transition here in just a moment. So we are going through a little bit of a belly here. We'll see how this looks when the line's drained out at the end, when there's no water running. You know, right now my camera's submerged, but I do have a sink running, so we'll see how that looks. And then in amongst that transition there, we transitioned over to PVC pipe. But you can see, my camera right now is upside down. There's not a ton of water moving through the pipe right now. So we're not going to be exaggerating that belly a whole lot with the amount of water we're putting down line. Like, the amount of water moving past my camera right now, almost. Yeah, I'll have to go back and look at the flow rate prior to that. My eyes just kind of feel like I'm catching a little bit of a flow drop off there. We'll see, though. Anyway, you do have a decent-sized belly there, it looks like. So we'll check that out as we come back in. There's the main there at 46 feet. We're going to go locate that real quick here while the pipe drains off, and then we'll pull back, take a look at the belly. Anyway, that was kind of what I was about to get into before we hit the belly there. When you come out of a house this deep, and this house somewhat sits below street level, it's a combination that often results in settling if the line's not installed very, very well. You got to get the compaction good on these ones, or they often result in settling. Alrighty, locate the camera head successfully. Where I pick that locate up there and turn around and stare back at the house, I am staring straight back at the clean out. The line does a pretty darn straight shot all the way to the street. Still a little bit of water trickling off. By the time we get back into the belly, we should be done draining out here. Alright, belly pretty much dissipates off here right around 18 feet. Alright, so the belly dissipates off here. I moved my camera around a little bit, that's why the foot counter just changed like it did. Get into a different position. I can't figure out where my camera won't orient. Anyway, I'll get a new measurement on it now that I moved my camera. So I'm getting around 9 feet deep there where the belly dissipates off. So our new starting point here is around 6 feet. Alright, so this is kind of a tricky one to locate because of where it's at. It goes underneath a bunch of bushes, and where I'm trying to locate, you'll see an X marking, you know, approximately 6 feet or so out from the clean out access. In fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull back in. I moved my camera reel to try and get the camera to flip around a little bit differently. Apologize for that. It doesn't bug my eyeballs at all after doing 25,000 sewer scopes, but I might be able to edit that at home and flip the image over. And the line does bump to 4-inch pipe right as we drop in here, so I'm zeroing back out again. That little stringy thing you're looking at there is just a glue drip, that's not a root. Alright. I'm getting approximately around 7 feet deep there. Yeah, see that, and you're pretty well submerged in here. I'm ripping the camera back really quick. It's a trick I learned 12, 13, 14 years ago. When you've got about 2 inches or less of standing water and you rip the camera back really fast, that water line will pull down below the camera lens. When you exceed 2 inches approximately, when you do the same thing, you will not have that. The camera will remain submerged. So you've got about 2 to 3 inches of standing water there. All right, about 16 feet is what I'm getting now here, where it dissipates out. So anyway, the markings there are to be considered somewhat rough, especially the first one. You're probably around the 2-inch mark. I don't know if you're quite at 3 inches. I can just barely get that water line to pull down below the camera lens. I've also sloshed some of the water out of the belly, but you're easily at 2 inches of standing water there. Anyway, I do recommend a correction on that. If for some reason the line is not repaired, you really want to try and watch some of the living habits. Try and keep it to folded toilet paper, not balled up toilet paper. It's a little easier when it's just adults in the house. Wipes, cooking oil, grease, fats, anything that does not disintegrate easily is stuff you want to avoid from going down the line. This stuff will get hung up there, and you want it to be able to disintegrate properly so it doesn't cause buildup. And so it just went backwards there. That's the back end. That's at least the clean out access back inside the crawl space. We've gone through the foundation wall. Everything looks good going back through there. But after any repairs are done, make sure a rescope is performed to check the work. You're getting a little bit of buildup on that inside turn there. From what I can see, it just looks like it configuration related. From what I can tell here, there's not much going on there. And you may very well have some scraggly, teeny little roots coming through the base of the clean out access. So technically that's a root intrusion. It's something I'm going to recommend a repair on. Just keep in mind, this is right here, at least at this point in time, those are not actually in the sewer line, but obviously that joint is very close to it. Unless the line has recently has been drain cleaned or something of that nature. A lot of times those don't often amount to anything. Like I've said, I've cambered over 25,000 sewer lines. I've seen a lot of little root intrusions and clean out standpipes. In most cases, because they're not getting fed sewage all the time, they often don't grow to much extent. Sometimes they can. So just be aware of that. If it doesn't get corrected, I might open the clean out up periodically and shine a flashlight down in at the very least to see if you can see anything growing in here. You'll be able to see it with a light. But that joint there is compromised from a technical standpoint, and there are small roots coming through it as it sits right now. So obviously the bigger animal here is the belly from 8 to 16 feet. I do recommend fixing that. After the repair is done, you want to do the rescope after the trench is closed, not beforehand, especially when you've got this much weight on top of the line. Otherwise, you're looking at everything in theory, unless you have, potentially 7 to 9 feet of earth on top of the line. That's when you want to do your rescope. Again, if repairs are not done, Keep good flushing habits in place, and I would recommend a rescope at the 1 year mark. That's to check for buildup and to see how the line is handling your living habits. Every home lives different from one another. This might be a household right now that has one little old lady in it. When you turn that to a couple adults and a few kids, the buildup level can change. So it's worth keeping an eye on things if it doesn't get repaired. But first and foremost, I'd like to see it corrected so that doesn't lead to any kind of issue there.